My name is Ali. I'm a PhD student at VUB, Brussels, and together with Peter Green and 100 Foundation, we were responsible for work package 4 of 100KTREES project, which was mainly about developing modeling tools and representing the results for cities and the assessments in urban scale. To start, we would want to know why we actually needed these modeling tools. We know that trees provide different ecosystem services in cities. Ecosystem services like noise control, urban cooling, and stormwater control, biodiversity, and several others. But we also knew that these ecosystem services are really dependent on the zone of interest in a city and also can be heterogeneous in a city based on the local conditions. So we knew that risk is spread differently in a city, and we wanted to optimize that tree planting scenario for a study area. But there are already models available about tree planting and tree benefits. And one of the most famous ones is iTree. So iTree is a model which gives you the monetary value of a tree based on the ecosystem services that it provides. And it works based on US-based data sets for tree species, and with some land assessment techniques and some the fraction of the land in a city which is covered by trees. They calculate the seasonality of the trees and the corresponding ecosystem services over the entire region. But for the case of a European city, if we use the iTree model, we will be relying on the US-based data and based on US climate and US tree species. So here we had a problem in terms of the accuracy of the model, the iTree. The other problem was the spatial representation of risk in a city. We know that, for example, air pollution isn't spread out evenly in an entire region. So we have some hotspots of risk in the city that we wanted to identify those. So those will be the potential planting areas. And also the monetary values for trees in iTree model are expressed with annual means of these ecosystem services. So we don't have a tree-based or tree-assigned monetary value. The objective of the project was to have a toolbox to be able to assess the environmental risks in a city. First of all, identify the hotspots in terms of environmental risks, and then provide some spatially distributed maps for tree ecosystem services and benefits in a city, and then see their impact, quantify their impact, and then decide based on that. To do so, we needed a decision support tool for tree optimization, tree planting optimization in a city. The outcome of this would have been some spatial maps about environmental risks with some base layers and some opportunities for tree planting, identifying the areas where we can plant the trees and then visualize their impacts, as well as some monetary values. So to do so, we developed a tree growth assessment model based on the tree repository that was provided to us from DHI and Eurosense. We had the repository of the trees. We had some attributes associated with them, like tree species, the age, the planting year, the condition, the inspections that have been done regularly for a single tree. And based on satellite data and some local environmental conditions like sunlight exposure, we had a machine learning model to model the growth of a tree and represent over time how much would be the biomass or the leaf area index or all the physical attributes that can be determining the environmental services. So this is a representation of the Copenhagen street trees. and the model performs very well and is really representative of the tree growth rates for different tree species. And using that tree dataset, we had physical models to represent different environmental risks and opportunities, to assess the biodiversity in a city, to model the noise and temperature, air pollution, and flood. For those, we needed the land cover maps and obstacle heights in a city based on very fine resolution DSM data. And we also needed the traffic data, for example, to model the air pollution and noise. And based on that, we did some baseline assessments of environmental risks in the city. The figures that you see is for the use case of Colding, where we did an urban assessment on an urban scale for the entire region based on the data available in present. And these models can be represented in resolutions of 10 to 2 meters based on the objective that the user has. The other thing that the model is capable of is to actually change some other factors, not only about trees, but about the urban structure, urban canopy structure, or about traffic, for example, where we can assign that to the model and then see the scenario and see the reaction of the urban canopy and trees to that specific intervention. And then we can assign a specific value of contribution to environmental mitigation to different trees in the level of single trees even. So here is the Amma Boulevard in Copenhagen that we did the baseline air pollution modeling based on traffic data, and then each tree's contribution to dry deposition of pollutants was calculated and assigned to it. But this toolbox can also be used in different scenario plannings for the cities in different scales. For example, for the case of Roskilde, we had a car park in a school that it required like fine resolution data for really modeling the temperature and flood. We did some scenario planning for tree planting and applying greenery in the study area, and then we made a comparison between the temperature, for example, on the left. And for the traffic control, again, in the case of Amma Boulevard, we had that, and we really quantified what would be the change caused by planting trees and changing the traffic. Okay, so but how are these results interpreted? We have different scenarios. We can make a comparison between them. And these results can be used for assessing the local impact of trees, the impact on a district level, or even on the entire city, based on the intervention planning that the user has. And these can be compared together, and the decision can be made based on that. Here on the left, you see the results for the case of Roskilde use case, for example, where we modeled two different scenarios of greening and the current status of the site. And we compared these two in terms of runoff based on different rainfall events that will be reoccurring in the next 10 years, in the last 10 years, 5 years, or 2 years. And for the temperature, we also did a comparison between the entire district, the car park itself, or the local effect of trees at location. On the right, you will see how it is going to be presented in the platform and how it can be shown in terms of like different effects of trees, which we are going to explain more on the toolbox. And finally, we will have the monetary values of these ecosystem services assigned to single trees. Having the contribution of every single tree in terms of environmental risk mitigation, we have some European handbooks that we can refer to and get the monetary values that trees really contribute to and provide the benefits for. And based on that, we will monetize different trees planted in different locations. And how can this tool actually help the user? Having the risk maps in a city and having high resolution land cover data and the available spaces for tree planting in a city, we can actually identify where is the potential tree planting spot in a study area. And based on the environmental risks that we have, aggregating them using multi-criteria assessment, we will prioritize the locations that a tree could be planted and will provide the most impact. This will first mitigate the environmental risks, and on the other hand, will save more money compared to deciding based on other criteria.